Says
Oh, okay.
Now we're live.
Now we're live. I don't. Okay. Here we go, folks. Welcome to the
intro.
Gamers at Large podcast. We're on episode 33, I believe. We have a wonderful show for you here today. So, as you know, we're going to be, kind of switching, hosts weekly. We're going to keep that going for a while and see how that works out. So today you have Ms. T as your host. I'm sure you know who I am, fools. And let's go ahead and do our intros to the rest of the cast here today. Starting from my left, let's go with Terminator Juice. Go ahead.
Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Terminator Juice. Glad to be a part of this podcast, and I listened to almost everyone, all 32 before this, so it's an honor to be part of 33. So let's get it going.
Awesome. All right, moving on. Let's go to our newcomer to the Gamers at Large network.
That's going to be me, Rob, Rule of Two Review. I assume is who you're getting at. So yeah, thanks so much for having me on, guys. The whole Gamers at Large thing is super new to me. I only just discovered you guys. I was actually sought out by... Can you not hear me?
Yeah, we hear cutting in and out.
Oh, freaking me out. Oh, don't want to be cutting out. I'm sorry, guys. Hopefully you can actually hear me now. Yeah, just saying, Gamers at Large was new to me. I was sought out by someone else who kind of helps run the podcast for you guys in Gamers at Large, Jamie Butterworth, the man. I was really, really appreciative of him seeking me out there. And yeah, Rule of Two Review is something I've been doing for almost a year now. It goes back to 2010 when I started it as like a gaming and a movie review website. We did podcasts that I was hosting, and slowly over the years I decided to turn it into kind of the YouTube show where I do things focusing on, honestly, the more positive spin to gaming. A lot of people get really negative about stuff, and I think that that's too bad. Gaming exists to kind of entertain all of us and everybody, and there's no reason to get so upset, and people for some reason still love to do that, so I'm kind of trying to weed that out with how I present my stuff. So I'm super, super honored and really happy to be here. I love meeting you guys, and really excited to have a good chat and a good first podcast with you guys, so thanks.
Awesome, awesome. We're very happy to have you. We love your channel, and like I said, we're very happy to have you along. And
Awesome,
we're going to move on to Ken. Go ahead, Ken.
Hey, what's up, guys? This is Ken, aka Dr. Feelgood here, the guy with the smooth moves and nice tunes to get in the a gaming groove.
All right.
Damn, no, nice. That was good.
And now we're going to move on to something that might confuse you fools a little bit. As you see, the avatar is actually Jay, but Mr. T don't know what the hell he's doing. So we had a little snafu with the, getting the podcast started here. So Jay had to come in and save me. So go ahead, Jay.
What's up, everybody? It's Jay from the Game Cafe. Looking forward to having a nice and good discussion tonight.
Awesome. All right. So, like I said, we were a little short this week here. A lot of people had a lot of things to do this Sunday here. So we have a smaller cast, but I like the smaller cast as well because I think it gets a little bit more personable. And everybody, I believe, has a topic this week. So who wants to go first?
I'll go first.
Okay.
Terminator Juice here. Yeah, I just wanted to talk about something we were talking off air. And Ken, I think I might be stealing this from you, but I didn't have a backup topic. So, Call of Duty on Wii U, we finally got the Nuketown 2025 DLC a year and 3/4 after the game was released, and it actually sparked me and a couple other YouTubers and some people from Google Plus to put the game disc back in and then play some Black Ops 2. And there's been about 3,000 players online this weekend. And it's actually good to be playing this game again. Ghost left a bad taste in my mouth for me personally, and Black Ops 2 is actually really fun. And what I wanted to focus on was how easily this game, the DLC, was to get, and then how this is the first time I played a Call of Duty with a robust friends list. So I constantly have players on, and I've been playing with voice chat and everything. And wanted to comment on the people that say the Wii U doesn't have online, and this is one of my best experiences of playing Call of Duty this weekend on the Wii U. I played on the Xbox 360, PS3, and now on the Wii U, and it's really great experience. And I think it's something worth talking about. I know the game's old and all that, but I guess that's the topic I wanted to breach. I guess you guys, somebody go give your thoughts on it. So
Yeah.
Well,
So
anyone
what
else?
exactly? What is the DLC?
Well, what it is it was a free map for anyone that pre-ordered the game back when it came out. It was the Nuketown 2025. It's a remaster of the original Nuketown from Black Ops, and the Wii U never got it. And then here it is a year and almost 3 quarters later. And then basically on the other systems, you'd have to go to the shop, the PlayStation Store, the Xbox Arcade or whatever, to download the maps. You had to wait for it to download before you could play the game. And on Wii U, I haven't put the game disc in over 6 months, and I put the disc in, turned the system on, and went to boot up the game, and all the content was already downloaded and updated, installed to the console. So I just booted up the game, and it was right there. I didn't have to wait or anything, and I thought that was pretty amazing. That I didn't have to go and select to download it or anything, and it just knew to download it to my Wii U, and there it was, and started playing. Some Google Plus guys, ASAP Rel and his brother, and actually his dad, we played some team deathmatch, and had a good time with voice chat and everything. It's just a great experience.
Guys, hear that? That's that Wii U curbside service coming to you.
Yeah.
I was gonna say that's that cool update they did for the Wii U where it downloads stuff automatically.
Oh yeah, and it's like, I mean, I haven't played that game. The only reason I turned it on about 6 months ago was just kind of compare it to Ghost, just to get a little back and forth, just to see what I liked about it versus Ghost. And I only played a couple matches, and the fact that it knew that my Wii U had that game, and to know to download it and install it. I mean, that's next gen, if you ask me. Not to start any console war crap, but
Next gen service.
That's next gen. I mean, that was awesome.
If I may say this though, and this is not the start of a flame war either, so just letting you guys know that are listening, but is it funny that to me the best Call of Duty overall is Black Ops 2 on the Wii U? I'm not just comparing Black Ops to the Wii U and the other consoles. I mean, as far as any Call of Duty on any console, to me the Wii U Black Ops 2 was like the best Call of Duty for its features and versatility.
You think it's the most finished, complete Call of Duty experience? Like the Wii U version?
Basically, because with the whole split screen with one on the gamepad and one on the screen,
Yeah, that stuff's
with
awesome.
being able to activate kill streaks from the gamepad, giving you a full overhead map and not just a little small corner, and the multiple control methods, to me, it is the most complete and versatile Call of Duty out there.
Definitely.
Off TV play. Don't forget off TV play during
Yeah,
football
that's
season.
huge for zombies.
Yeah, that comes into those little bathroom moments. And you got
Yep.
what I'm talking about.
Preseason football.
Because if you parents don't know, you cannot pause online games. So if you gotta take, you can't pause it. Just take the gamepad with you to go do your BGs.
I'll tell you what, the first Facebook post I ever made about my Wii U when it was brand new was that I was able to say, hey, I just went to the bathroom and played Call of Duty. You all are jealous. And everyone pretty much reacted that exact way. I was very proud of that first Facebook post.
How you gonna call it the most complete, you Nintendrones?
Oh,
If we just not getting a map that came out a year and a half ago.
well, so I think that's a really good point, though, because the whole conversation about DLC and Call of Duty specifically and Nintendo stuff is that we don't get, and I'm a Call of Duty Nintendo player too, and we don't get those full complete map packs, and that's really a shame. So it's interesting how on Black Ops 2 we did get that Nuketown map just this last week, and then for anyone, I actually do still like and play Ghosts. We were kind of touching on that before the podcast. And Ghosts got the free fall map that was initially free for the other systems when that game first launched. And the Wii U got that, it was probably now 3 or 4 months ago, but way after the fact, yet still no actual map packs. So that's a really unfortunate thing, too.
It depends on your perspective. Some people don't like to pay an additional $50 for their game after they purchase, $60 game. So some people,
It's
it
true.
keeps the game fresh. I don't mind not having to be tempted to pay $15 for 4 maps every few months. So.
But you know what though?
I never feel like I'm losing anything on that because I don't care to buy that stuff, so that doesn't even factor in.
See, and I would. I'm a sucker and a product of the system. I would dump my cash right into it to get those map packs, and I'm sad that I can't do that. I'm really bummed.
Well, that brings up a very article I read, because you remember the whole Nuketown 2025 when they said if you reserved the game or bought it like brand new, you would get it like with the game free. However, it was only a limited time release, like access to it, and then fans got pissed off because they said, "Hold on, I was told that when I pre-ordered this, I would get Nuketown 2025 for free, but it was actually just you got early limited access to it because I think like a month after it came out, they restricted the access to it."
Mm-hmm. And what it was
news to me, yeah.
It was a code inside your game case, so you had to go on the Xbox. I had to go to the store and type in a long code to get the download, so it wasn't just. It was kind of a pain in the butt back in the day to get that for the 360.
But with the Wii U, of course, whether you bought it new or used, even though it's like year and a half late almost, it was still free.
I think it's more of a test. I think those two, the first one on Ghost, the free fall map, I think that was a test of how it was going to work for DLC, and I think this is just another test.
It's cool to think about them testing. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. Go ahead.
Yeah, so does that mean they're testing the waters to see, because it's required. I mean, you got the game, you can't play the game without downloading the Nuketown now. It's part of an update.
Interesting.
That's required, so if you put the game in it, it's like I said, it's already installed on mine. I have that function turned on my Wii U, so maybe it's a way for them just to test the waters to see, how it works and how to get the ins and outs of Nintendo's, the operating system for DLC and how it was going to work. So maybe that's a sign.
I like to think it might be. That's a pretty good idea, and especially the other thing we chatted about beforehand too, the idea of if Advanced Warfare ends up coming. If in fact we get Advanced Warfare on the Wii U, does that mean that because of the testing of the waters you're talking about, maybe that means the actual DLC for that, the Wii U, like we would all actually get that stuff as it releases with the other systems too?
Well, it released on Xbox first, obviously a month early.
Oh yeah.
I get what you're saying. That's I'm not a die-hard Call of Duty player, but I do enjoy putting a few hours in. I don't buy it at launch. I wait till the price drops down to like 40 on Black Friday usually. And but it would be nice to know that the Wii U's getting the new Call of Duty, trying to fill in a little bit of that lack of third-party support. But it'd be nice if they had already announced it. I don't know what they're keeping it a secret for. If the game's coming out for the Wii U, I don't understand why they keep that a secret, but.
Maybe they're doing what's called a stealth launch, which doesn't make any damn sense. I won't say where that reference came from, but
that they're going all Sam Fisher on us, basically.
It's like all of a sudden it's in the stores, and then the only way you know about it is on YouTube. Someone's uploaded a video.
Oh yeah, what did that happen about not too long ago? Didn't that happen recently or in the past?
Usually with the Wii versions of Call of Duty, like on Wii, the original Wii.
Like Black Ops and stuff.
No one thought Modern Warfare 3 was coming, or Black Ops, and then
they
were in the stores. So.
That's a great sales tactic. Not.
And then Nintendo came out like, well, that version only sold 500,000 copies. I'm like, that's actually pretty damn good since no one even knew it was coming. You never said it was coming.
Right.
So if you can release a product and no one knows it's coming to that particular platform and it still sells 500,000 copies, I say that's a damn success.
The last couple on Wii did over 1 million. So I mean, but you look at the install base, it was kind of a. I think that's what. I think the Nintendo fans is just a small percentage that buys Call of Duty. So now the install base of the Wii is so much smaller than the Wii. Obviously, they're seeing the numbers reflected. So, but if they gave full support and the game was announced with all the other systems, there's no way that would hurt. I don't know.
Well,
how
that's
much
the thing.
It would help.
I mean, that's the thing is they're so counterproductive. It's like, I mean, it's kind of an age-old argument. It's third-party games don't sell on Nintendo platforms; they don't sell on the Wii U. But at the same time, when we release them, we don't want anyone to know we made that game for the Wii U. So no one's gonna buy your game on the Wii U.
I'm gonna go ahead and say what I'm saying. It is. I truly, truly, truly believe, and you guys listen may not even agree with this, but I truly believe that there is a conspiracy going on, and it's all against Nintendo because there's no way that basically if you look at the ratio of game sales on Wii U compared to the consoles, like for example, what was the game they compared to it? I think it was. I mean, it was some game that sold like I think I think it's like Injustice. It actually sold pretty well on the Wii U. It sold okay, but they're saying like, well, it sold like 2 million or 3 million copies across the PS3 and the Xbox 360. However, we're talking about 160 million systems,
Yeah,
whereas
totally.
it sold nearly a million on the Wii U, and that's like only what 6 million Wii U's
Well,
in
and
the
at the
market.
time that game
At the time,
released,
it
it
was
was probably
3
3 or
million.
4. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, they see it as well that sucks. It's like if you look at it ratio wise, that means basically one out of every three Wii U owners had the game,
Right.
as opposed to one out of every what 10 to 20 for the
Point
Xbox
oh
360.
oh 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 4% of PS3 players.
Right. And, you can't explain that to some of these people. Like, they just don't. They don't comprehend mathematics.
Nope.
That
And
causes them to think.
and, you know, last year with Call of Duty Ghosts, it was I think they announced it in August for the Wii U version, and they actually blamed Nintendo. Treyarch said that Nintendo was the one that they were waiting for approval from the heads of Nintendo to okay the announcement. So
That doesn't seem right. Why would
I-
that be that way?
it was not argued against. It seemed legit
Oh.
when it came out. So maybe that's happening again, and I think it's scheduled for early November, the new Call of Duty, and
It's
with,
always like the first week or second week.
yeah, you got
Yeah.
Smash Brothers coming out probably that third week, probably. So I don't know. Maybe they're just trying to decide, if the release dates are going to work. Because Smash is going to get all the sales. Everyone knows that, but
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
I think if they released it early on time with the other systems, I think it would have a chance to have a couple of decent weeks of sales before Smash. But
Mm-hmm.
who knows? Who knows what the CEOs of those companies are, what they're thinking?
I mean, but even comparing the different versions of the game, like for instance, Black Ops 2, I only saw one video where I think the Activision boss Bobby Kotick or whoever was working at that time in like the interview was actually going over the details of the exclusive features of the Wii U version of Black Ops 2.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
And that was the only time. It's like, why not do a commercial about that?
Well, the other
why
thing
not
they
help
did-
your game sell?
The other thing they did, if you guys remember, like people kind of forget about that this even happened, but Nintendo had their like exclusive online streaming sort of press event about the Wii U, which was when they announced like the date and the prices and stuff. And they did have people from Activision get up and play Black Ops 2 on stage and showed everybody and talked about, oh, it's the first time it's in HD on a Nintendo system, and you can, Bobby here is using the gamepad, and Steve is up on the big screen, and they're playing in the same map. And that happened too, and that was a pretty good example when they seemed excited to talk about Call of Duty on a Nintendo system. But you're right, after that conversation like totally went away from their side, and it kind of sucks.
I can honestly say this though, when it comes to Call of Duty, I will admit they do have the biggest online communities because players love them. They have tons of fans, but I can say with confidence that the Nintendo online network has very, very few rude people when
Totally.
playing that game. I won't sit up here and lie and say I haven't ran across somebody that's insulted me or called me a name, but it is 10 times less often than you do on the Xbox.
It's really true. I play again both Black Ops and Ghosts online, and it's true. Like it's a great thing about the Nintendo community, and I think other people don't understand how much better that community can be because they're used to Xbox Live and all the crazy crap that happens there. It's terrible.
I mean, I've been calling everything under the sun just because I won a match. It's like, dude, I wasn't even cheating. We just won.
All right, let's move on, fools. We can talk about this till the sun comes up.
Shot for tea.
All right. Anyway, who's next topic?
What about the lawsuit?
Yeah, let's go. Yeah, let's
some
go into
guys-
that lawsuit. Yeah, let's
The
go.
Killzone thing.
There's some guy, basically somebody filed a lawsuit against Sony for Killzone because it is not native 1080p as stated on the game box when purchased. He got the game, he opened it, and of course Sony has come out in an interview and stated that they used some other, trick to basically make it seem or appear to be native 1080p, but it's not true 1080p, at least not in the multiplayer. He said he played the game, it looked blurry. So he has filed like a class action lawsuit against Sony for I think it's about $5 million because he feels like he was false advertising, he was lied to.
Too much money.
Too much money, but I think the lesson needs to be taught.
Like to Sony? Do you mean like the lesson to Sony? Probably.
No, I think
To
the
anyone.
lesson no, to any game developer or console maker that wants to throw around the whole, well, we have 1080p 60 frames per second. Well, is it really that, or is that what you just wanted to tell us? Because you don't live up to that. If it even drops down to 59, lawsuit.
Oh man, yeah.
Yeah, that is kind of it's kind of funny, but you guys do have a point that it's stupid to get into a resolution war, and that's the whole.
It's so common though.
Yeah, that's the whole. That's what all this is about. All right, the guy is upset because he feels like it wasn't what it was supposed, what it said on the box. But in all honesty, would it have really been that bad if they would have focused on what the gameplay was instead of what resolution was at? I don't
Sure,
think it would be a problem if it was just focused on that. But since for some odd reason, because of the current gen now is resolution, and this many frames per second, I'm like, if you're really that worried about it, and this is just me, just because I'm a gamer and I understand how games are played, if that really is your focus, you should probably just dedicate yourself to the PC.
True.
Yeah.
I mean, but here's a different way of looking at it, though. If Sony or any other company, but in this case it's Sony, if the makers of Killzone would not have actually thrown out there at all that their game, what resolution the game runs at or frame rate, would this be an issue?
Definitely not.
But see, when you brag about something like that, and you brag about something that even you know for a fact your system cannot do easily, we know it could do it, but it's definitely not easy. How many games actually run at their resolution? Now, I don't even care. Me, it's about gameplay, story, experience, resolution, and that comes last. That's icing on the cake, if you will, to me. I understand some people out there are quote-unquote graphic whores. That's the way you look at it. I understand. I'm not going to bash you for that. But imagine if the ads and all the interviews and the reviews would have said, Killzone is a great experience. It offers you a multiplayer, something that's whatever, or you can't get anywhere else, and you would have left out that whole thing about it's true 1080p, or it's 900p in multiplayer, or it's 30 frames per second here and 60 there. If you would have left out the technical mad, jargon and, basically just promoting the game based off of that, you wouldn't have this problem right now.
I think, I totally agree with your whole point, but the one pass I'm sort of willing to give Sony on this that I think some people forget is that the Killzone was also a launch title, and they were really trying to push their brand new PlayStation and the brand new power of the next generation. So I feel like, even though it was kind of stupid and wrong, I kind of see why, at least at that point, it's a little bit easier to accept them trying to say, graphics, power, frame rate, resolution, blah, 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 and all that crap, because they were trying to say, hey, this is our next generation, and this is how you get excited about it.
I think that only makes it worse that they're
well, because they
even
couldn't
more
live
willing
up
to
to their
lie.
promises. Yeah.
Like, I think the resolution thing, I think it doesn't matter to me what resolution. If the game's fun, if the game's got great gameplay and controls, that's important, but I don't like to be lied to, so I'm kind of torn here because I don't care about resolution, but I don't like companies doing almost basically false advertisement here. And just like with the Watch Dogs reveal back in 2011 or 2012, showing us a game that there's no way they were going to achieve those level of visuals. I just don't like to be lied to. So what I'd like to see, instead of one guy asking for $5 million, is start a class action and for people to get their money back or something like that. Something that's within reason, that, hey, they bought this game, they thought they were told one thing and it's not, they didn't deliver, so they should be able to get their money back. Something like that I'd be okay with, but one person asking for $5 million seems a little ridiculous, but I do like I would like some of this stuff to stop, where this false, like the bull shots, the PC demos instead of PlayStation or Xbox or whatever, they're showing high-end PCs. I'd like all that stuff to stop, so maybe this could be the means to an end of that. I'm not sure. This lawsuit would probably get thrown out, but it'd be nice if some of this stuff would stop going, would go away.
I think I think you make a good point, because what it might actually do, even if it just gets thrown out and kind of goes to the wayside, is it might just be waking people up to this whole idea, and they might realize, well, we can't really get away with those things like we thought we could have because of that whole lawsuit thing. So no more of that. No more lying. No more promising things we can't really promise. Or at least as like large scale as how this happened. So
Okay,
it might prevent it. Go ahead.
Well, check this out. I have my copy of Black Ops 2 for the Wii U in my hand, and I have a copy of Super Mario 3D World in my hand. On the back of these cases, nowhere does it say what the resolution is.
Because Nintendo doesn't care.
Exactly.
But they do achieve these resolutions more so than the competition, but they do not brag about it. See, I think Nintendo realizes that that's not something that's worth even putting on the back of your case, because why do you want to give people more reasons to pick at you? Because basically, if you put someone on the back of the case, I'm going to hold you to that. If it comes up one day, let's say for example, if I was to buy, if they let's say they remastered Mario Party 2. I'm just going to use that term. Don't laugh, okay? Don't laugh.
I expect it next summer.
Okay. Let's say they remaster Mario Party 2, and I buy. I'm thinking it's gonna have Game Pass support and everything, and it has a gamepad on the back, the gamepad icon. But when I start up, it says you must use a classic Wii controller, and I can't use my gamepad. Wouldn't you be a little bit put off that they lied about that?
Yeah, totally. It's a good point.
I mean, even though it's something minor, the fact is you were hoping, or you thought you would get an experience with this certain peripheral, but yeah, you can cut your Wii on, you can even push start and start the game up, but once the game starts, you're going to use one controller method. And that goes, if you even go to Nintendo's, like Club Nintendo website, and you download a game, it will tell you right there, like, you must have this controller to even play this game, period.
Exactly.
So, like you said, it's about being lied to. Don't tell me something that's you using as a bragging right, as a marketing ploy, but you really not even giving me that experience. Most people didn't care because they probably fans of Sony. They probably like the game for the experience. But if we can all go back, me personally, I wish I could actually went back when I got Modern Warfare 3 and probably filed a class action lawsuit because Elite didn't even work for the first 3 or 4 months, and it's still missing features that they promised in the beginning.
I kind of think that that Sony sort of shot themselves in the foot, too, with the Killzone thing when they came out and said, oh, we used a trick to achieve that. I feel like that was really poor wording on their part and just kind of added fuel to the fire, too. Kind of admitting that they didn't really have what they promised people they had.
Sadly for me, this just proves a bigger problem with the industry. The fact that we're even, having to talk about this is sad, because for me, this tells me that at least most developers don't have imagination. Like, they just lack imagination anymore. Like, and I say that because to me, from my perspective, making these quote unquote realistic, high resolution games are easy. It's easy to mimic reality. It's easy to make a game, based around reality and real physics. And for me, from my perspective, it's more imaginative to make a game like a Mario 3D World or even a Little Big Planet. That takes more thought. It takes more imagination, because you have nothing to, you have no basis for you, and you have no limits basically to what you can do. And for me, when we start focusing on resolutions and frames per second and stuff like that, it's because these companies are telling us, this is all we have. This is all we have. We're making interactive movies, and our battle now is not what cool gameplay mechanics we can add to it, because there's not really much you can bring into the real world that makes sense. The battle now is making interactive movies at the highest resolution possible. And that's the new battle. That's pretty unfortunate to me.
It is unfortunate, but at the same time, like, I will also admit to loving some games like that, and Last of Us is the easy comparison to make. I know that game is super recent, but I loved that game as much as all the awards and stuff it won. So I think that there still is a place for that, but I think it's the wrong battle to fight. And
I'm not saying that there's no place for it. I enjoy those games too, but I look out, and the types of games that I grew up loving, and I don't see them as much anymore. I see more of the like quote unquote movie experience type
Totally.
of games.
Yeah, I
Cinematic
agree
experience.
with you. I think it's the wrong direction maybe gaming is heading in a lot of ways, and I
Right.
super like what you said, T, about it's almost easier to recreate the realistic stuff because if you're drawing inspiration from everything you see around you in everyday life, you're not really inspired. But to think up something like Mario, you almost have to be crazy to think that
Yeah.
up, and that's what makes the game good.
But you know what
Yeah.
though? I mean, to me, that brings. I mean, I completely agree with T as well because when I think about back in the NES days, and I was playing Mario and some of the other games on NES, and the Genesis, things like that. Most of those games, almost all of them, they had no realistic aspect about them. To me, the first most realistic game I pretty much played, besides like a football like Joe Montana, was probably like Mortal Kombat. That was
Yeah.
somewhat realistic. But other than that, all games back then, for the most part, were based on fantasy because you couldn't really display realistic physics or looks or anything about it.
Yeah, true.
You-
I'd give it up
you-
to Metal Gear Solid. That was one of the first realistic games I remember
That's
too.
the first one that started doing movie like with
Yeah.
the credits in the beginning. Like they try to make it like a movie experience.
Exactly. And then it's like now that's what you mostly see. And like T, I like things that a person has to be basically almost crazy to come up with. Like when you play games, like you said, like Mario 3D World, or when you play games like Knights on the Saturn, or Spyro the Dragon, or or Panzer Dragoon, games like that, Power Stone, those games are complete
Power Stone.
fantasy.
Yes.
A great game.
Complete fantasy.
Zelda.
That's not something a typical person would come up with, but you love the game because it really does something that you cannot relate to in real life in a sense. It takes you away because it's not trying to be realistic in any way, shape, or fashion.
Right.
Isn't that? Would it be? I mean, would you guys say it's fair to say that's kind of why maybe a lot of us are Nintendo fans because they tend to have those kinds of experiences on their systems more than the other guys? Because that's how I feel.
Yeah, I think that's
Yeah, because creativity does lend a lot to and it depends. I'm honestly starting to believe that it actually depends on the actual person that is going around calling themselves a gamer. Like me personally, I like creativity. I like different types of things. Like I use my gaming to get away from reality for a few hours a day.
hmm
I don't want to go back into it. I want to.
That's why I can't play the Animal Crossing or Tamagotchi lives because you got to do real life stuff in those
Yep.
games. And I can't get into that. I want to do something I can't do anywhere else.
But see,
So-
to me, the one game, I would say the franchise, that really made me respect those that have a great imagination because you knew it took a great imagination to come up with those visuals. Remember, like the cities and the cutscenes in Final Fantasy X or even 7,
yeah.
but
Any
especially
Final
10.
Fantasy.
But just those visuals, those cities, the technology that they use, it's like you have to be very imaginative to come up with that idea and then put it and display it for us to see.
Yep.
right.
Yep.
I
Yeah.
mean, that
I mean-
takes art design. That takes people drawing up these crazy, city building designs, and not just going to Chicago and taking pictures.
Yeah, you nailed it. Totally.
That Mr. T, are you talking about Watch Dogs?
Maybe.
That's
That's that
just like
stealth action.
you could in the movies too. There's the same parallel there with you got the good art direction, the good cinematographers.
Right.
Really makes a difference in a movie versus
Absolutely. Yep.
amateurs. They give some guy his first movie and it's just like you can tell he's wasn't ready for it.
It's like that was all done in your bedroom, wasn't it?
and that's why like one of my favorite movies of all time. But and I know Mr. T, disagrees with this in some aspects, but just based on the creativity, Avatar.
Oh, that's a great movie. I totally
I
am
disagree.
with you. Damn
That's a great
it, damn
movie.
it, Mr. T.
Wait, you say I disagree?
No, I say you disagree in some aspects, like cinematography.
No,
we
no,
had
no.
to talk about that.
No. As far as the cinematography goes, I was saying that they shouldn't have won for best cinematography because a lot of the cinematography was made in a computer. That's what I was
Well,
saying.
Yeah.
it kind of, if I can add that, it kind of wasn't though, because if you've seen like really how James Cameron made that movie, he was using a camera to move a lot of that around
Yeah,
and
fake
actually
camera.
filming people.
I understand completely where you come from. I'm an Avatar nut job. Like I have all the books. I have all the behind the scenes stuff. I love that film. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
What I'm saying is, it's
wasn't using real
different when you
people.
take a camera outside and actually have to account for sunlight and things of that nature.
Mm-hmm.
And they
Yeah.
have to do that.
They
agree with
created all of that. It's true.
Right.
It's true.
That's
yeah.
all I'm saying.
They should create a category for just camera pans, like camera sweeping.
And the best camera pan goes to.
But
I mean, but
wanted
we
to
use that
touch-
example though. Oh, go ahead.
I didn't want to get off topic too bad, but I've been waiting to say something when Ken mentioned the back of these boxes saying the resolution. I just wanted to touch upon that real quick before we get too far away from it.
Yeah, go ahead.
That started, I believe, with the 360 and the PS3. You know, the HD era began, so that was kind of a selling point, and you know, it was an achievement back then. And just like if you use a football analogy, you got a rookie scores his first touchdown, he wants to celebrate, versus, you know, a veteran or Barry Sanders or somebody, knew he was going to score a touchdown, so he don't celebrate. So that's kind of why I think Nintendo is just, they don't put the resolution on the box because it doesn't matter to them. They know the resolution is going to be, it's not an achievement, unlike I think some of the other publishers and stuff. They think that's still an achievement, where it's really shouldn't be at this point. That
It
should
was the new innovation at some time in the past, but it's not
2012.
anymore.
Yeah,
Yeah, exactly.
But,
Yeah.
but here's the funny technical part about it. Even back then, when they did achieve it, it wasn't true.
No,
Because
it was-
honestly, games like Call of Duty, Modern Warfare 2, and Modern Warfare 3, they're basically just upscale 540p.
Right.
Yeah.
They're not, so it's not even really true. It's not even really true high def. Their native resolution is only slightly better than progressive scan.
Well, yeah, if it actually just says video, it supports video up to, you know, it doesn't actually say native resolution. It just says it will support 480p, 720, and 1080. So
Yeah, a lot of that was also TVs at the time too. 'cause,
TVs, exactly.
I mean, the TVs had to adjust as that technology for gaming was adjusting.
they used to have TVs that were 1080i or 480p or 480p and 720p. They didn't have TVs until 3-4 years ago that could do them all. So I mean, that was more of a compatibility thing back in the day. But I think you know, some of the other companies, they still think that that's a relevant thing to put on the back of their box.
Like a bullet point, yeah.
Yeah.
There used to be a sales HD and HD. That used to be a selling point.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I think we're about 7 or 8 years out from that now. We need to move
Yeah.
on.
Yeah.
I mean, I had my first HD TV back in like 2001, so
Whoa.
13 years now. So
Right.
that's not really relevant. So like I said, it's like football. It's like a veteran who he just scores a touchdown and throws the ball to the ref, versus the rookies who got to touchdown dances and stuff. So
Yeah, Nintendo's like, that's old school. HD is what it is. Let's focus on better things.
Yeah,
School.
I've said this before. The funny thing is that if we're going, you know, history-wise, to me, you know, HD, there is no HD anymore. HD is now SD.
Yeah.
That's the standard.
yeah, because there's
It's
4K.
it's standard def-
Right. HD is the standard. So to even call it HD anymore is kind of silly to me. But,
And what's even sillier, I mean, I do laugh at this, is that not everything, like, even though HD is now practically the new SD, but not everything yet even supports 1080p.
right.
Yeah, that's true.
Some media channels still do not support it. Like, there are some channels that don't support HD, period, and there are some that only go up to 720p or 1080i. Very few actually go up to 1080p, and people are like, well, we want 4K games. It's like, dude, do you realize nothing on this earth even supports that typically yet?
No.
And the only thing I've
Not
seen
really,
is
no.
one of Sony's TVs coming with the media device, which is basically a big ass hard drive that has like 8 movies on it in 4K, and they're Sony movies. I said, but there is no, like, everything. It's not a standard yet. 1080p is still not a standard.
No,
And not
because
to mention
It's close.
that,
It
but it's not a
almost
standard.
is.
we're
It
getting to the
almost
point
is.
where we can't even, you know, we won't even be able to tell the difference anyway, because our eyes can't see beyond what, what's the,
it depends on how close. you
24
are.
frames per second, is that what you mean?
you know what I mean, the resolution-wise, as far as being able to see clarity.
At certain distances, there's a certain distance where you can't tell the difference between
Right.
720p and 1080p. But
I think
up
it's
close,
like 8 feet at like 720p or something.
mhm.
I don't know, man. I feel like it's like 2 feet. Honestly, I can't even tell the difference no matter where I'm at.
Yeah.
Oh, you can tell the difference because 720p has a darker image. If you're talking about resolution, you can't. But 720p, if it's a native 1080p like Blu-ray, and you're watching at 720, it's just gonna be darker. Like the whole contrast is gonna be off, and that's where really stands out. It's not so much the pixels or anything that you can tell the
gotcha.
difference.
But
So,
And it's
I mean,
frame rate and refresh rate, 100.
but hey, me being the
60.
fanboy, 1080p has twice the amount of data and pixels as 720p. So you can't tell me there's no difference when you got twice the amount of pixels online, man.
You can't argue with them pixels.
It's funny though. It's funny because I remember having that argument with somebody, and I was like at Best Buy, and I know some people that work at the one near me, and they put a PS4 game and an Xbox One game on the same exact TV settings. You couldn't tell the difference. So yeah, to the naked eye, you can't tell the difference. You really
Yeah, it's
can't.
The
kinda
difference
pushing.
only comes in when you're buying a television bigger than 55 inches,
Yeah.
and then if you have two TVs 55 inches, and on one of them you put in a DVD, the other one you put in a Blu-ray,
Yeah.
you will see a
You-
difference
that's
of
for
scale.
sure. On film, like DVD and Blu-ray, I think, yeah, I totally agree. That
Yeah.
difference is significant.
But
Well, like with gaming,
from a 30 or
720
40 inch screen, you won't see a difference. Not really. It's
Well,
very,
well-
I feel like I can notice the difference. I feel like I can.
You should be able to notice the difference depending on how the settings of the TV is set up. But if you get them the same exact settings, like say you got an LG TV, you got two LG TVs, and you got one of them set on like a warm setting and the other one set on a cool setting with a contrast, you'll be able to tell the difference. You got them both on the warm setting, you're not gonna be able to tell the difference.
but also, I mean, I'm gonna
Gaming wise.
give you guys a little history. Like, I've been doing home theater installs like as a hobby for the last 15 years or so. So I've spent a lot of time going through picture settings on TVs and stuff. And a PlayStation 3 and an Xbox 360, even with the same game, you can't have them on the same settings because each system is just a little bit different for this color or that color. You have to tweak it to color standards for each input. So a PlayStation 3, let's say it's an HDMI input 1. If you had the exact same settings for your let's go Xbox One and PS4, they're going to have just slightly different color. Like red will be slightly redder on the Xbox or something. So you have to actually calibrate them separately to get a true, comparison. So a lot of people think that same settings should be equal, but it's not. Even different brand Blu-ray players will have a different colors and stuff. So.
like in the same way certain TVs brag, like, well, we have a 100,001 contrast ratio and we have a 9,001. It's like, but based on how you set up your television, they may end up being exactly the same.
Yeah, and it's
How
some of
they're
those
made.
numbers. Some of those numbers are hugely exaggerated too. The actual 100,000 or 1,000,000 to 1, and then the actual test it, and it's more like 10,000 to 1. So that's another issue or another topic. Really, kind of like the resolution thing. There's some lying, deceiving going on in TVs with their specs. But I will just say one last thing about we talk about DVD to Blu-ray. Going from 480p to 1080p is a much bigger difference than like 720p to 1080p, like with some of these remastered games. So I heard someone, or not heard, but I read a comment where someone's like, "Well, you bought a Blu-ray and you had the DVD and you bought a Blu-ray, so you're just as bad as somebody, buying a remastered game." And there's a bigger difference between 480p on DVD and 1080p on Blu-ray. So
Yeah, that's a fine line to walk, and I kind of see like the purpose of that argument, but I feel like simply because you're looking at film, that it's just a different purpose you're looking at. With games, more than half of the experience is also the interaction. It's not even just what you're actually looking at. It's also playing and interacting with it. With movies, it is solely based on the visual experience.
yeah,
So when
visuals
you get that bump from standard DVD to high def Blu-ray, I feel like, it's an interesting point that person made, and there is merit there, but I still feel like it makes more sense for film than it does when it comes to gaming.
Yeah, it's like I forget who said it. Said everyone's a graphics whore because when you get your TV, you always set it to 10. If you bought a 1080p TV, you're gonna set your game system to output at 1080p. So you're automatically a graphics whore. Because if you weren't, you'd leave it at 480p or whatever.
I mean, but who
That's
the hell?
stupid.
Hold on, but who the hell buys a Corvette just to drive at school? Basically.
Yeah, buy a Corvette and
school
drive at 10 miles
speeds.
an
I
hour.
mean, school zone speeds. I don't buy a Corvette for that purpose.
No.
I'm gonna race the hell out of it.
Hey, I got a crotch rocket. I didn't buy it to go 40 35 miles per hour.
Yeah, that's a good point.
I got to get on the highway and open it up to 100.
It's more like a crotch scooter.
Yeah. So but that's, I mean, it was kind of a valid point. This was back when you actually had to go into your settings and change. I don't know if you guys, if you bought a TV in the last 3 years and a Blu-ray player, you don't have to go into the settings anymore. They talk to each other now, and they automatically detect the resolutions. But before you had to go in and say, oh, okay, I think PlayStation 3 for the first couple of years, you had to go in there and say, hey, this TV supports 480p. 720p, and which resolution do you want it on? You know?
Yeah, that's a good point. I think they'll even say, like, oh, we're registering that this can display at 1080p. Do you want to do this? Like the first time you turn it on, and you can say, yes, I do.
So he had a point in that if resolution mattered like nothing to me, then obviously I could play the game at 480p, but if my TV supports 1080p, that's what I put it on. So.
Well, also games, again, in gaming nowadays, these games are designed around those high-definition graphics, and sometimes you need those fine details, and especially with text, too. I remember when like...
Gosh, you are so right.
Oh, right? Yeah. I was like, what happened? But,
yeah, and you got refresh rates, too. I got an old front projector. It's 720p Sony.
Yeah.
And it's got low contrast and a slow refresh rate. So there's latency. I can't do good at Call of Duty online on that because
they're designed around these visual parameters. So like you can't. I remember playing Dead Rising on Xbox 360 in 2005 on my standard TV, and I was like, I can't read a damn thing. I don't know who's saying what and doing where. So I couldn't even play the game because of that.
I will say this to all the people out there that are listening. Do not ever play Forza on anything but high def. Because if you're trying to read anything about any car part, any car, whatever, it's like reading, it's like just a blurry ass line.
Yeah, you can't do it.
It just cannot be done. Like that text is designed, it was put in there so small that it really cannot be read on anything less than like 720p.
Oh, it's just like the credits on old VHS tapes. You couldn't hardly read the names. And then when DVD came out, it was like, holy crap, you know, it was like a revelation.
Like, that was Bob Gouda. I didn't know it was Bob Gouda.
Like, you literally couldn't read the text. It was like, so, I mean, that's where resolution can help, things like that. Yeah. But I do a Mario Kart 8 tournament on Wednesday nights, and there's a guy who was dominating. He won like 3 times in a row. And I seen a setup on YouTube. He literally has an old tube TV with a big crack down the middle. That he plays Mario Kart 8 on. It's not widescreen. It's the old standard, and I'm surprised the Wii U even supports like displays.
Yeah, I'm wondering how he got it hooked up on that.
But the dude dominates, man. He's really good. So
man,
you know, it doesn't. I guess it's what you're used to, but I know there's no way I'd ever want to play it on an old set like that.
No, you get spoiled. We're all spoiled by the fact that we still have had HD TVs for like 5, 6, 10 some odd years. You know. Like someone said since like 2001, I can't remember who. Sorry. Yeah, and so like we've been doing it for too long to let it go. Probably like it becomes the standard.
Yeah,
what you got to do.
That's true. That is true. That is true. Anybody got anything else they want to add on this before we move to our next topic?
No, we covered that pretty good.
We're pretty good about it.
Right.
Looks like we lost Mr. T. Where'd he go?
Yeah, we don't know. We don't know. So
all this resolution talk.
Yeah. Well, there was one thing I actually wanted to bring up that I just and I don't know how I forgot about this. The Microsoft supposedly reporting a $400 million loss.
I did not hear
about that.
I didn't hear that.
Yeah.
Well, to be honest, like, when did they ever really posted a profit?
But
Microsoft makes money. Microsoft, it's Sony who typically doesn't make money.
No, not on their Xbox. It's on
not on Xbox division.
The Xbox division.
You're correct. Sorry.
And the reason why I bring this up because I want to say like before I think it was like 2012 or something like that, it was leaked out that that the shareholders of Microsoft wanted the gaming division gone.
And that was about a year ago. That was when they were switching, like, right before I think Don Matrick left, and the whole talk was the guys coming in were considering selling the Xbox division outright. Yeah, because the shareholders haven't gotten a return on their investment since 2001. They haven't received a return on their investment. They've pretty much been
bankrolling stuff that's in the red continually. So
Yeah, like I think over the last like 8 years between Sony, PlayStation division, and Xbox has been like $8 to $9 billion loss. Like
That's crazy.
those
That's
two have actually
scary.
been operating in the red the entire seventh generation.
Dude, and then Nintendo posts their first operating loss in over 3 decades, and people are like, well, Nintendo's doomed. Get rid of them.
yeah,
Well, you know
What
who's
is
in
that
the
about?
green? All the third parties. They've been making the money off the 360, PS3, even the PS2. I mean, the third party's been making bank off those systems.
that's
But
my
see,
point.
here's the funny thing, and some people do confuse this. Sony and Microsoft, not trying to bash them, let's get out the way. They have been operating. It's a fact. They've been operating at a loss for the last 8 years. They really have.
Sure.
With Microsoft paying for the ESPN contracts or NFL, all these features, they've been operating at a loss. Especially when Microsoft rolled out that $1 billion program with the Red Ring of Death.
Mm-hmm.
But you look at Nintendo when it says loss, with Nintendo it typically means they have made less profit than they did the same period last year.
Sure.
It doesn't necessarily mean that they actually lost money on something. Nintendo rarely takes a loss, and typically they will come back around and say, well, last year we made $400 million profit, this year we made only $300 million. So yeah, then they'll paint it in the media like Nintendo list, they said they had a $100 million loss. It's like, well, actually it's a loss on profits.
Yeah. That's a good point and an important distinction that people don't want to pay attention to.
And Nintendo, they don't have like these other divisions, their TVs and computers and all that to rely on. So that's why they're a little bit more cautious. And a lot of people don't give them credit for it. It's more of the smart way for them to do it because they don't have like a big brother. Even though they have money in the bank, they got, I don't know the exact amount, billions or something cash.
10 billion.
It's
They-
like over
they-
$10 billion.
They're
Yeah, it's
trying.
10 billion.
They always try to operate on a profit, but the one thing Nintendo does that the other companies don't do is they have multiple games, big budget games in development at the same time for 2 different consoles, the 3DS and the Wii U. That Zelda game, that's their biggest budget they said they've ever had, the biggest team. They just finished up Mario Kart 8 with a 5-year development cycle, and
Wow.
they have long development cycles, and they have bigger budget. I mean, not huge like Grand Theft Auto budgets, but they got all these games going on, so that costs them money, and they don't see the money for 3, 4, 5 years, depending on when the game comes out. So, they got their Amiibo line coming up. That there's a lot of production costs, and what do they call it? Before they get it even started, they had to probably do research and development, R&D. So there's a lot of money they're spending right now, and then they're hoping to recoup some of that probably this holiday and beyond. So, they don't just throw their money at third-party content, get an exclusive match.
But to add to that, Nintendo is actually very frugal, and what I mean by that is the Wii. Now, we all know the PS2 had DVD playback, the Xbox did it, and the Xbox 360 and PS3. The Wii did not have DVD playback, although it did use DVDs. And I did read an article where Nintendo say they did not want to pay for that because that's a royalty thing. They say they actually saved like $5 a console by not having DVD playback.
And that saved them $500 million.
And so basically, and with the Wii U, the Xbox, every Xbox One sold, they're putting money in Sony's pocket because of Blu-ray drive.
Mm-hmm.
They really are. And of course, the PS4, like the PS3, is using Blu-ray. And I've heard people throw this around saying, Wii U uses Blu-rays. No, it does not. It uses a unique technology that they developed called China Blue High Def.
Yeah.
It's proprietary. And it's actually outselling Blu-ray in China 3-1. It has the same amount of space, but it's way cheaper to manufacture.
And it's got the nice rounded edges.
Oh, those things are so smooth, man. That's Nintendo. Like, you can't even use them as weapons. They wouldn't cut anybody.
I think it was funny, though.
I think
I find it funny.
Mr. T, you should chime in, man. We lost you for a minute.
Yeah, the host of all things dropped out for a minute. Comcast strikes again.
Oh, no.
The wife is on the phone with him right now, giving her 2 cents.
As she should.
But yeah, we're talking about the Microsoft 400 million loss.
Mhm.
Yeah, we're talking
Yeah.
about here.
That was the Xbox One specifically that generated this loss too, which we
Wow,
didn't.
I actually had not heard of this until just now.
Yeah, me neither. Yeah.
Since the Xbox One till now, it's lost them 400 million.
Yeah.
I'm surprised that it got out because Xbox or Microsoft has been really good, at least the Xbox division, at hiding the numbers. So for them to be able to, for this to even be out is a surprise to me. So yeah, I mean, it's not a surprise that there is a loss. I mean, 400 million technically, at least especially for them, isn't that much of a loss. But I guess I'm a little surprised because I thought at least at the price, they were at least making a profit. So. To me, that says they still weren't making a profit even with the Kinect bundle or the Kinect in there. So that's surprising to me.
Didn't they spend like 50 million just on the controller design?
It was 100, I
Yeah.
thought, wasn't
It
it?
was 100 mil.
Yeah.
It was 100 mil.
Oh, this is actually
That's
a funny-
crazy.
It's like completely unrelated, but $400 million. This is exactly how much Sony spent on the cell processor development.
Wow.
No, it really is. They
Is
spent
it?
$400 million on developing the cell processor, and when they first tested it, it crashed.
Oh man.
I was reading that they were really banking on that being like the new standard processor.
Oh, I remember that was all the
Laptops,
rage. That was
smart
all the
phones,
talk in the
devices and
community.
everything. That's
Yeah.
what they're looking for. And then
The only system that used it was the PS3, and I think they tried it. Somebody tried it in something else and it didn't last. So
Yeah.
they gambled on that one, and
And now Vio's been sold off. Moving on.
so what do you think that means for the Xbox division? I mean, is this with the sales of the Xbox One still getting beat by the Wii U weekly? I'm sure they're waiting on their overseas. They're going to have that launch in China and some other
I
markets.
feel
but-
like
There won't be an
Sorry.
Xbox 2.
okay, God damn it! It took me a minute to realize what that joke meant. That was but I honestly I can't be a naysayer or a doomsayer even for like the Xbox or the Xbox One. I mean, yes, it's supported by Microsoft, which is a filthy rich company, so that's part of the reason. But I also feel like, and I've said this so many times before, like there is enough room for all the different console players, which I know sounds like a bigger argument, but there is enough room for all the console players, I think, and there will be enough generated interest in the Xbox long term. $400 million, I know, Ms. T, you said that's not a lot of money for Microsoft, which is true, but I still feel like that's way more money than I would have expected them to lose so soon in the Xbox One's life cycle. But I still feel like I think the gamer is still going to rally. I think that if Microsoft makes the system much more appealing the longer we go since they've dropped the Kinect, that it's going to hopefully be able to recoup those losses. I don't want to see the Xbox division get sold. I don't want to see Xbox really struggle or fail. I like the Xbox, and I like them being a part of the race. So I hope that happens. Yeah, what's up?
I mean, but to add to that, it's not the biggest loss. Actually, the biggest loss I can recall was when the PS3 launched. In the first 9 months, it lost $1 billion.
That's crazy.
It
I
was
believe it though.
It was
I
$1
believe
billion
it.
loss because they were losing over $250 on a $600 bundle,
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
like that model. And so in 9 months, they posted $1 billion loss on just the PlayStation division.
Sure. Well,
And
but
that's-
So
I
they're
think
still,
this is
they're
a-
still doing better. I mean, but that was huge.
This
well,
could
to,
be.
to me, the difference was that the PS3, like, it was pretty public how poorly it was doing for a while. And I feel like the Xbox One, it does get a lot of flack, but I still feel like it's been doing relatively okay. Like, not $400 million loss kind of horrible, I didn't think, until that number came out. So I think maybe, like, that's a good point, and I didn't know Sony lost that much money, but I still felt like the Xbox One was doing okay-ish. Apparently,
I mean-
it hasn't been.
Even the PS2, after PS2 gets a pass because it, quote unquote, won the generation, but PS2 lost a lot of money too per console. People seem to forget. A lot of people are a lot younger. A lot of the gamers in this community are a lot younger. But when my first DVD player cost $600, that was just a DVD player.
That's crazy.
Right. This was 2000.
Yeah.
Back around the time that PS2 came out. So if they're selling a console with a device in it that costs $600 on its own, obviously there, some cuts, they can make, making the system itself. But it also plays video games, with the Emotion Engine that was in there. Wasn't that the Emotion Engine? That was in
Yeah.
Ooh,
PS2.
what was that? Yeah, I think that was PS2, yeah.
Yeah, that was PS2. So, how much were they losing on the PS2? Because Sony going into PS2 generation was a $100 billion company. You know,
Yeah.
they're now
Well, that was coming off of the
17.
90s, too, where
Right.
in the 90s they owned all of electronics. That was
Right.
like the go-to name was Sony.
Well, what I think if you look at the PS2 sales, it's at like 154 million units globally. But I think like the last 50 million, the system was like 150 or under 200. To,
Sure.
I think it ended up at like 100. So they weren't making a ton of money on it, even when they were making money on it. And so it's their way that they kind of set for their business model. They can't really get out of it at this point.
Yeah.
But like the PS3 had that huge loss in the beginning, but look at it, it finished strong, and I think that's might have something to do with why we're seeing a lot of these cross-gen games still this late. With all these with Destinies and what was the other one? The Resident Evil remake and stuff. They're still making the PS3 and Xbox 360 versions to try to still get some money back for those systems, and it's.
There was a really interesting story I heard. Tell me if you guys had heard about this. From last year's E3, which is the one where Sony had the whole big sting against Microsoft, where, our system's $399 and we can let you share games with your friends and all that stuff.
Mhm.
If you guys remember, Microsoft, of course, had the first conference that year where they were the first to announce this is the Xbox One's price, this is the release date. They announced it at $499. And the rumor that I heard and read online was that the Sony execs were backstage paying attention to what Microsoft was doing, knowing they were releasing the PS4 specs later that night. And they were just like chomping at the bit and biting their nails, waiting to see what Microsoft was going to announce their system's price at, and that they were terrified that Microsoft was going to announce $399 for the Xbox One because Sony, they already knew that they were going to undercut whatever Microsoft did, and they were so nervous that if Microsoft announced it at $399, they were like, we can't afford to drop the PS4 to $349 to beat what Microsoft would do. So they were really hoping Microsoft went at $450 or $500. Because no matter what Microsoft did, they were going to undercut that price, which means the more they undercut, the more they probably would have been losing. They already knew they were going to be losing money on the PS4.
No,
they were worried about having to drop to $350.
It was actually worse than that. They had the same plans in mind for DRM and including the camera and things like that.
I heard that too. Yeah.
But when they saw the reaction that Microsoft got from that, they cut all that out at the last minute.
It was brilliant.
The camera for sure was going to be included. I think they were probably going to have either two separate bundles, or it was going to be like a $500 with the camera.
Yeah, it was supposed to be $499 with the camera.
It's
It was a smart move.
That speaks to.
Hello.
Oh, did we lose you, T? We can't hear you, man.
I'll just give it a second. I hope.
Well, I'll just
Jeopardy music.
I forgot what I was going to say.
Well, the other the other point I was going to make about that is that it's crazy because when you go back to those changes that we heard about Sony making to that conference last year, that was a great conference, like all things considered. And honestly, I feel like, and I'm excited to get my PS4 for the Destiny bundle. I have that reserved. I believe the PS4 is a quality system, but there really hasn't been any games this whole time. That's a big conversation. And I honestly feel with all the records the PS4 has broken, despite not having games, that this whole time they have been riding the success of that press conference. I really feel that's why the PS4 has done so well.
Oh,
and
they
it's
have.
props to Sony. I give Sony props for making that possible. Yeah.
They have. They've been riding that, and their marketing team is I got to give them props too, because that's what they've been doing. I mean, we're in the middle of a gaming wide drought. So
Yeah.
I mean, there's hardly anything coming out for anybody. And the sad thing about it is, and I've said this before, I never understand why everything has to come out September back. I don't understand that. And like, if you spread stuff, because this ain't the first year this has happened. This is like the fourth or fifth year straight where we've gotten a few releases between January and April. Nothing from like May through August.
Yeah, there won't be anything
Holiday.
until September. Yeah.
And then
3
September.
words. Holiday shopping season. It actually starts in like August/September. It really does.
Yeah,
It's that Black
I
Friday rush.
Yeah, I understand that, but at the same time, you have like the amount of games that's coming out, because some of these companies are dropping 2 and 3 games. They cannibalizing themselves sometimes. So my thing is, why don't you, if you know you got like that many games, why don't you spread some? Because some of these games can come out in like July.
Oh yeah, a lot of games
or
are finished months before they release, so it's like, why not release them 2 months
Well,
earlier
look at
when
Watch
there's no
Dogs in May.
competition?
Watch
Yeah.
Dogs did well in May, and Mario Kart.
Yeah,
they
because
say
there was
slam
literally
it.
nothing. They didn't have any competition.
Kids are out of school. You got the the movie season's always in the summer, so I wonder if they just because most of the kids, they don't get games until Christmas if they're young, but there's a lot of gamers that are old enough to buy their own games, so
Yeah, like we all probably on this podcast buy games all year with our job money. So
Mhm.
we're in the market 12 months a year. Please
Yeah.
release games 12 months a year.
So
Yeah, I mean-
we're hurting. Yeah, we're hurting during the drought time. At some point, we're hurt. That's why I don't get too mad when I hear people say there's nothing to play, because at some point I'm like, you know what? If you're not a gamer like myself who can play pretty much anything he wants, if you are dedicated to like one specific or two specific genres, you kind of don't have anything to play.
Yeah, you're reduced to 2 games a year maybe.
Yeah.
And
And
so
they come out the same time each year. So you get that 1 year gap. A lot of people play Call of Duty for almost the whole year. They taper off the last couple months, and then the new game comes out, and then that's kind of the model. But
I mean, those guys
that's
aren't
why I
really part
appreciate
of
Nintendo, because they have shown me that they can release games throughout the year. Now, of course, when I play these games, I love them. Yes, I want more, especially when I know what's coming out. I want it now. But I gotta say, I mean, the way they did, Pikmin, and then from that, of course, Pikmin 101,
Wonderful
101, and Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze onto Mario Kart. Even for the 3DS, it's like
3D World was in there too.
Yeah, exactly, but we basically got a good game, and even the first party game, every 3 to 4 months.
Every couple months, even quicker than that, I would argue. Every 2 months, maybe.
Yeah, about 2.5 to 3. Yeah.
Yeah.
At the most.
And Nintendo has small teams. They don't have 2,000, programmers working on the game. They basically have small teams of 100 to 200 people working on a single game at a time.
And but they're smart. Nintendo's lined up their from August to November. They got a pretty big game coming out every month when you.
Yeah, there's a lot of Wii U games to buy.
I'm worried about from now all the way up to the end of 2015, because honestly, it's going to be too much coming out to play for just this console alone.
There totally is.
I think a 1 month's good in between. Like you got Hyrule Warriors, you got Bayonetta, then you got Smash for the 3DS, and then
Toad's Treasure Tracker, man.
That I heard
wait
a
for
rumor that might. Even the U.S. version might get pushed to January.
Well, the UK one did. I think it'll probably still stick to U.S. I hope it does.
I mean, what month would it come out in, though? I mean,
probably
December.
February. Oh, this year,
December.
December.
Yeah.
Because the rumor now is like the 3DS version of Smash is coming out October 3rd, but the Wii U version is either going to hit the 28th of November or the 21st.
It'll be November.
I thought it was 25th of November.
No,
Well,
it's going to be a Friday.
The rumor is either the 21st or 28th, because I think that's the Fridays, I think. It's going to be a Friday release.
It'll be one of those. Yeah, and even someone mentioned Hyrule Warriors is September, so that's next month. It's weeks
August
away.
in Japan. It's only 2 or 3 weeks away.
Yeah, I heard that. Yeah, I think it's almost out in Japan.
So Japan, they got it lined up perfect for one pretty big title per month for the rest of the year, and I think that's enough. If you only own the Wii U, you're good. But if you
and those are all exclusive games, by the way.
And
that's
if you're
a huge thing.
But there's gonna be a lot of people buying Destiny, so that might affect some of the other games. You got possibly Far Cry 4. I still think it's getting delayed.
I think Far Cry's going to get delayed, too.
You got Assassin's Creed.
That game is not ready, man. To me, if you could only show basically
one elephant,
a gameplay trailer, like to me,
they showed the same thing over every showing. They showed the same replay. They didn't.
They're gonna wait to the very end and say delay until 2015. I'm telling you, they won't say it now because it would turn off a lot of people. It's like, well, damn, all I'm getting this year basically is Destiny, and what else?
Batman.
No, Batman's 25th.
Nope. Batman got pushed back.
Oh my gosh, you guys are breaking my heart.
They got Project Cars if you got a PS4.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Batman and Evolve got pushed back.
Let's not even talk about Project Cars on PS4 and Xbox. It's not going to sell because Xbox has Forza and PlayStation has Gran Turismo. Project Cars is gonna bomb on those.
Yeah,
They
it's
got
crazy how
Project-
that
they
thing is
got,
being handled.
Drive
Terrible.
Club's having, I guess, pretty good pre-orders for the PS4. So
Yeah, that game is really, really. It's not my kind of game, but the buzz is very, very strong for that game. It really is.
that launch title, that's
Yep.
coming.
Hey, that happens, man.
Oh my
Metroid
God.
Prime was supposed to be a launch title for the GameCube.
Yep.
That took a year and a half. So. Yep.
Yeah.
So.
But getting back to the original point of not releasing games over the summer last year, I passed up on a motorcycle trip vacation because I knew all the money I was going to have to spend on starting with Pikmin, and then GTA 5. Unfortunately, bought that, and Wind Waker HD, 3D World, Sonic, and there was a Call of Duty, and I bought Assassin's Creed. So I mean, that's you're talking $300-400 right there. So.
Okay, for all those listening, you heard it here first. This man passed up a vacation to game.
That is
game
dedication.
Dedication right there. He passed up a vacation.
Yeah, it was only a
to purchase
4-day.
games.
If it would have been a week or longer, I would have went. But it was a 4-day where most of the cost was traveling and the hotel.
Well, time. There's also time. If you're on
Yeah,
vacation,
getting
you don't
time
have
off
time
work.
to play.
I mean, but the point is, the key
Yeah.
word, vacation.
Hey man, my vacation was November 22nd. Link Between Worlds and 3D World. I got a half day of work.
Yeah, it was a
an
tough day.
hour, and, that was a good day. A day after my birthday. It was
Nice.
That was gaming bliss right there.
Yeah, but it's a good point you bring up, because I think what you're getting at is, droughts aside, there are a lot of good games that still come out.
Yeah,
Especially within the same year and around that holiday season. It's almost insulting how many good games come out every year only in that last quarter, in that last couple months.
yeah, and I passed up on Wonderful 101. I passed up on
Oh,
Batman.
you're missing out. You got to play that game.
Blasphemy.
Yeah,
I passed-
blasphemy. Blasphemer.
Eventually, I'll get it. But
You
I
gotta
passed
get
up
that
on
game.
Batman. I passed up on Deus Ex. I passed up on a lot of games I might have otherwise purchased because of that.
Deus Ex is a really good game too. It makes really good use of the gamepad.
That's
by
what
the
I've
way.
heard.
Yeah, I got it. It's awesome.
But just to touch back on the topic, though, this just came to mind. Do you think that Microsoft laying off 18,000 people worldwide had anything to do with the whole $400 million loss?
Probably.
Oh, I'm sure of it. Yeah.
Probably, yeah.
But
So
I
at
heard
the time-
that it was because of Nokia. Like they acquired Nokia, whatever, but they felt they didn't need them, or it was something about I read.
Well, it's
that
because they
said-
had like 2 of every person
Yeah.
in position. Like they had their HR person in both places, so they had to get rid of one. So they had to do it at some level, but that was a lot of people to it.
Yeah, but I think 18,000 people. Yeah, a lot of that was, I think, the Nokia purchase had to do with the Nokia purchase. But yeah, a lot of it, that's 400 mil. There's no way some people out the game division didn't get in there too.
Yeah.
There's no way, because like
There's so much restructuring in the game industry, though, and jobs are so unstable. It's kind of common. It's almost too common, too.
yeah, which is actually sad when you
Yeah.
think about it. That's why I'm glad people are going indie, but we used to have like a lot of different game developers. Now, it's basically the ones that people know, your EA, your Warner Brothers, your Ubisofts, or your Activisions, but remember, we used to have Midway, Acclaim.
Yeah,
Hades,
man. Good
All
times.
of them. So,
Good
I
times.
mean, I miss that, but, and I really wish, because that's when I think like a lot of gaming went too far to the whole, we got to have AAA everything, because back then you had like all those different teams had different creative games, so you had to actually be on your P's and Q's. You couldn't just like put out the same game every year and people will flock to it. It didn't work like that because you had so much competition.
Yeah, I think the
Now-
standards of gamers was different back then, yeah.
Yeah, you
Yeah,
had to have something good, because if you couldn't keep my attention, I wasn't playing your game.
And see, just to touch on that, I know we talked about earlier about my little experience at the arcade today with Marvel vs. Capcom.
Yeah, buddy.
But touch on what we talked about earlier with the experiences, offering unique experiences that this is what we used to want. I still want it. I remember when I played NBA Jam for the first time. no one had done 2-on-2 basketball with no rules before.
That game was so radical, I
And
can't
then-
even say.
I still have the original NFL Blitz on the 64
Oh
card.
my gosh, great
Oh,
game.
yeah.
Like,
Yeah,
That was,
me too.
that was 2 years of
those
my
were
life gone to
unique
NFL Blitz.
experiences where it's like, that game, you got it. They hyped you up about it. All you seen was NBA Jam ads, even in like just in all types of magazines, because it was that different. Now they did go a little Activision with it or whatever. It started
Yeah, they
releasing
got
like
that
one like
one, yeah.
every year or so, but
Yeah.
it was
Blitz
still
2000,
good.
yeah.
It was still different. And even look at NBA Street. This is back when EA used to actually be a great company, when it used to be called EA Big
EA Big, SSX.
and SSX.
That's my jam.
But now it's just like, it's not about the experience. It's about how can we capture realism in the game and add great colors and blood and some kind of dark tone and story to it where someone always has to get killed. It's like, come on, man. Like,
This is the
what happened to
arcadey fun
imagination?
experience. Yeah, it's exactly. I agree. EA Big made some great games in that respect. You're definitely right there. I miss those days.
Back when creativity reigned supreme.
Yeah, it's different now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think we come to the end. We got any more topics to discuss here, or are we going to go ahead and wrap it up?
I'm thinking I'm good. I think we had a
Yeah,
good
we'll
show.
probably wrap it. Yeah, whatever
Well,
you guys want to do.
Wrap it up.
All right, let's go ahead and wrap it up then. It was a great discussion. Thank everybody for joining this episode of Mr. T In and Out. No, just
No,
Take it as you
title.
will. Take it as you will.
that's Gamers at Large podcast, episode 33. Thank you everybody for listening. Let's go ahead and do our sign outs. Starting with Jay. Go ahead, Jay.
All right, everybody. Thank you for listening. We had a pretty good time tonight. Come back and listen to us. Next week is Gamescom, and Games at Large. We're going to be doing wrap-up videos every day. We're going to have a different host every day. I'm doing Thursday. We got Mega Gamer Man or Games Rosa. He's going to do Wednesday. We still got to figure out who's doing Friday, but just check back with us next week as we will be doing wrap-up videos for Gamescom. And we had a good time tonight, and I hope to see y'all next week.
Okay, go ahead, Ken.
Hey, what's up, guys? This is Ken, aka Dr. Feelgood here. Had a great time tonight. A lot of great topics, things discussed. I will be more likely attending one, if not multiple of the ones for the Gamescom. But anyway, as I always say, keep it gaming.
All right. And Terminator Juice.
What's up? This is Terminator Juice. Great discussion, guys. Looking forward to next week's Gamescom wrap-up shows, and I think we hit some good topics today. Tried to keep it not so fanboyish, tried to limit that, but as a Nintendo fan, it's sometimes hard to not be a fanboy, but I think we kept it pretty clean. So thanks for having me, and I really enjoyed this.
Okay, and before Rule of Two Review go ahead and do his thing, I just want to say once again, welcome to Rule of Two Review. We look forward to your content. Great channel. Love your perspectives. I love your production value. You have a great personality. And go ahead and give us a sign out.
Awesome, thanks, man. I appreciate it. And I feel the same about you, Mr. T. I've been following you for a while, so I appreciate it coming from you especially, but from all you guys, that feels really good. And so, yeah, this is Rob of Rule of Two Review, and thank you so much, you guys, for having me. I really, really enjoyed this. As the newbie, the new kid on the block, it feels pretty cool. Very honored. Very honored to have myself and my channel, Rule of Two Review, represented on the podcast. I love chatting with you guys. Super smart gamers, really passionate. It's super fun to be a part of Gamers at Large, which feels really good. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to being on more episodes in the future. I appreciate the plugs. I think you guys all do great stuff yourself. And, yeah, maybe I'll get in on some Gamescom stuff if there's room, and we'll just kind of go from there. But, again, I really appreciate it. I had a lot of fun. And thanks for having me.
Yeah, welcome aboard.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay, that'll do it for this episode of Gamers at Large. We had some snafus, obviously, but I'm your boy, Mr. T, and we'll see you next time. And Jay, go ahead and hit that button because I can't do a damn thing for my celly.
Oh, Mr. T.
All right,
Damn
man. Have a good
snafus.
one.
Thanks, guys.